This is a DIY spectrometer. No chips involved, unfortunately. You'll start with a box or a cardboard tube, which I'll get to later. In this case, which I started with the box because I didn't know you could do the tube one, which is much smaller. You take a CD or DVD, stick it about an inch away from the bottom left corner of one side. Trace that inside hole there, and then you're going to take your tube and center it on the smaller hole that you traced, and then trace the tube. Now move it about a half inch to an inch to the right, trace that again, use a line to connect the tops and bottoms of those two large holes, cut it out for your oval shape, which will then be used later for this viewing tube to go in at an angle. Use your CD or DVD, stick it in the bottom left corner and trace that circle again, and then use the bottom of the circle to cut out a rectangle that's hidden behind these index cards right now. That's about a half inch by 2 inches. Then you're going to take 1 or 2 index cards. I used 2 folded in half just to make sure that they weren't going to be flimsy and let light leak in through the sides here, though I suppose I could have just taped that. And make sure there's a millimeter gap in between both of them and try and make it as even as possible. Now, on the inside, which you can't see now, there is another CD or DVD that's taped to the back here opposite the side with the slit. So the light will go in through the slit, bounce off that CD, and then you'll view it through this hole here. And this one I didn't tape in there because I need to use foil tape, or in this case taped foil. I cut it into about 1-inch strips and sealed up all these edges, and it took me a long time doing that because I didn't realize that this box had these perforations all over almost every face of the shape. So a much simpler one to use would be a cardboard tube for like paper towels. Not quite something this short, I don't think, although it might work. You can try it out. And what you'll want to do is measure the diameter of this tube and break off or cut a wedge of the CD or DVD, and that fits in there along this side. Then with the shiny side pointing to the inside of the tube, you'll want to glue it in there at about a 30-degree angle, and then directly above that, where you will be able to look in and see that shiny side, punch out a hole there. That's going to be your viewing hole instead of that thing. And then on this end, that's where you're going to put your index cards with your 1 millimeter gap, so that the light spectrum gets split open through that and reflected off this. Now the reason you use this is, as you can see, when it has all those light sources, it shows you a rainbow. And if you're looking at something like the sun, you can tell what kind of elements it's burning based on the colors you see. So if it's burning a lot of hydrogen, you'll see a lot of, or like a little bit of red, a little bit of cyan and blue and violet. If it's helium, red, yellow, cyan and blue. Oxygen is pretty evenly spaced across the entire spectrum. Neon, same thing, except there's a lot more red there. And like iron, same thing, but a lot more in the blue-green range.